How's it going, eh? Steve here, Street Smart Travel, coming at you today from Ontario, Canada, specifically. This is Pigeon Lake. I'm out here in my kayak. I'll work in some videos and maybe some pictures later in the video. I'm on the lake alone. It is a beautiful sunny day, a little bit of wind. You can see the ripples in the water there. And a stark contrast to what it looked like last night. I'll tell you that. Today, I want to take a bit of a departure from retirement and volunteering and travel and stuff and talk about finances and try to not make it boring. And the impetus for that is just with the amount of disruption, the amount of chaos, I guess, globally, not just geopolitically, but also geoeconomically. I don't know if that's a word, but certainly I've seen a lot of people being affected in very bad ways vis-a-vis their personal finances. And I wanted to outline a few things that enabled me to retire at 51 because I went out of my way to get educated about finances, business, investments, taxes, all these things that you're never taught in school. And I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole today, but I do want to provide three very basic and very simple strategies, tactics that you can apply to your own life to take control over your financial situation. Things are going to get a lot worse. I think they will get better. I don't know when, but economically and financially, I see things getting worse before they get better. And if you're not prepared for them, it's really going to suck. This is cyclical. It happens. I mean, the last time I remember things being this bad, 2007 and 8, yeah, okay. Early 90s in Canada, certainly, not great. Like, really bad. And we're in that part of the cycle again, right? There's no escape from it. This is the reality. So let me give you three tips, financial tips that continue to help me to this day. And hopefully they will help you too. If you take them on, they will definitely help you. If you don't, you're on your own. So the first one, item number one, being very aware of where you're spending money. So you could call that a budget. I've been doing this for decades. And when I say a budget, it's not me planning out, here's what I'm going to spend for the month. I started off doing that. That's a good practice. And then at the end of the month, you check, did I hit that? Did I spend more? Did I spend less? Like, what was it? For me, what I do is I track my expenses on a daily basis because I'm very disciplined with money and I already have a very good idea what I'm going to spend. Then I break that down weekly and monthly, so I have a snapshot of where I'm spending money and how I'm spending money. When I'm in Ecuador, I do that every day, and there's days and sometimes weeks that go by where I spend actually $0. Right? That's not a realistic expectation. Living in Canada, I've been here for a little over a week, and I've already spent way more than I would spend in a month in Ecuador, and that's to be expected. Right? That's not a surprise. But the number one thing to do is be aware of where and how you're spending money and how much. Then you can see it on paper. I use a very simple Excel doc. You could use a piece of paper and a pencil. If you want to go old school, you can come up with your own. I'm sure you could find budgets online and just download an Excel spreadsheet, something like that. Mine is basically the month. So let's say April 2025. It's April 30th today. So April 2025, and then I have the dates down one column, the dollar amount down another column, and then every day I have a total for what I spent. And then, like I said, every week, every month, I go back, okay, and then I can say, did I need to spend that? If this is a recurring expense, can I cut it? I might not be able to eliminate it. Can I reduce it? And on that basis, I decide where I want to spend money because I know where I'm spending money. Hugely important just to be aware of where you are actually spending the money. Item number two is cutting expenses. So I alluded to that in step number one. Can you cut or reduce your expenses? Could you, and it can be simple things, right? Do I need to buy lunch every day at work, or could I brown bag it 2 or 3 days or more a week? Do I need to, Starbucks always gets slammed with this stuff, so do I need to spend $10 on coffee and a snack every day at wherever I spend that money? Or could I find another way to do it for less money? Or could I cut it out entirely? Right? And nobody can answer these questions but you, by the way. I'm not telling you do this or don't do this. I'm saying be aware of where you're spending money, and then you choose where you want to make cuts, or if you want to make cuts at all, right? Nobody wants to make cuts, but it may be a necessity, as I said, because things are going to be getting worse economically, financially. And if you can't control, I can't control any of that, but I can control my own finances. Everybody can control their own finances, something you're not taught in school, so it's something that you need to learn how to do on your own. So one, a daily budget, so you know where you're spending your money and exactly how much money you're spending. Two, cutting out or reducing or eliminating expenses, and again, at your discretion. And the third one is increasing your means or your income, however you want to characterize that. It is easier today to find a side hustle, I guess is the popular way, but to find another way of making income that doesn't take a lot of time. You could maybe take on an extra shift doing whatever it is you do if you're an employee. That will take a lot of time. That's trading time for dollars. You could take on a side hustle. Maybe you have a skill. Maybe, for example, we had a brutal ice storm here about a week ago, and then we had a bad windstorm last night. So there's a lot of cleanups that need to be done. Nobody wants to do that, especially for older people. Physically, they cannot do that. So what if you had a truck and a trailer and some rakes and just simple things, and you could go around? It's almost like a public service, right? Get paid for it, and ideally, do it legally, have a business around it so you can expense your gas and your truck and all that other stuff. That's a little maybe beyond the scope of this video, but look for ways that you could be producing more income. Could you rent out a room in your house? Could you rent out a parking space or a garage? Or do you have a bunch of things that have been sitting in the attic or the garage that have been there for years that you never use that you could sell and turn that into income? So those are the two ways that exist to improve your financial situation. Either you make cuts, you reduce your expenses, and or you expand your means, your income. And you can do both of those together. Again, your call, right? I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm just saying these are things that are available to you. I've been doing these for years. I keep refining what I'm doing, and I get more control over my finances and go, wait a minute, if I change this, I would have this much money and I could put it in this place and invest it, and it would turn into more money. And this is like a never-ending process. And I will say the more control that I've exercised over my finances personally over time, the better I feel and the more I see that I could be doing. Right? If I started off, oh no, a budget, I don't want to write stuff down, it takes too long. It takes me like 30 seconds a day at the most. And some days, if it's zero, I just put a zero. Right? That means I have to open the Excel doc, enter a zero, save it, it's done. But again, have a budget and like track your expenses, know where you're spending money. Figure out what you can reduce or eliminate in terms of expenses, and there's a ton of stuff there, and see what you can do to increase your income, ideally on an ongoing basis. Selling stuff, that's just if you're going to get money from that, that's a one-time thing. But if you can figure out ways that you could have ongoing income through investments, through a business, through whatever, just start thinking about that. This video for me is about planting seeds, because I think about this stuff all the time, and I see people suffering because of inflation, because of a high cost of living, because their wages aren't keeping up with their lifestyle, etc., and they don't know what to do to improve their situation. They feel helpless, and then they give up and do nothing. It's not helpful. It doesn't help them at all. But just those three moves: budget, cut expenses, and improve or increase your income. Those are a terrific starting point. If you want some resources, two books that have been tremendously helpful for me and a lot of other people. One, old school, it's probably about 100 years old now, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Won't give you specifics of what to do, but it will give you insight into how very successful people have become that way. There's a lot of commonalities, like successful people do certain things, and that can be in anything. It's not just money, like people that have successful marriages and successful businesses and successful relationships in their lives with their kids, successful in terms of their health and fitness, right? Pick your area. It's not all about money. this video, the context is money, yes. But Think and Grow Rich, you can find that at any library on earth in just about any language, or any used bookstore, thrift store, all over the place. And two, and this one is cited probably more than that book, it's certainly more recent, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Tremendous resource. Again, it's not going to tell you exactly what to do, but it's going to educate you on things and tell you this is important, that's important, you need to think about this. You know. And it's a jumping off point to expand your context and figure out what's your next move. So I hope that's been useful. I will put some videos throughout this video, and sorry I don't have my gimbal here, so it's a little shaky today. But it will start you on your path to taking more control over your finances. For me, this is what economic chaos looks like. We had a windstorm last night. Here's a shot of the lake, and this is about the roughest that I've ever seen it in the 40 plus years that I've been coming up here. Here's another shot of the lake. That's today, so the day after the windstorm. And as you can see, night and day. Perfectly calm, no whitecaps. So use those as metaphors for your finances. When they're chaotic and you feel like you're out of control and at the mercy of them, not a great place to be, right? Your options are very, very limited. And you're probably thinking about money all the time because you need it to survive. And as expenses go up and incomes go down or go away, that's a very stressful situation to be in. The corollary is that once you do have control, at least some control over your finances, and see how that you can get more control over them, then you have days that look more like this, being out on the water and enjoying a very relaxing, stress-free day in nature. I got a lot of other things to say about that, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please let me know in the comments below. Also, please let me know if you have any resources that you really like, because I know there's a lot of apps and different things that are available that I don't use that may be easier, more convenient for people to use to track expenses and to get ideas of how to cut expenses and add more income, things like that. Those three things are hugely important. That's probably 90% of why I was able to retire at 51, because I've been doing those things for years. So thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions, please drop me a comment. I'm happy to share what I know and how I got to where I got. I would like to be doing some more videos like this because I think the takeaway on these things is very important. And again, stuff that's not taught in school. With that, I will say, peace out. See you out on the water.